So it's common in mainstream media such as Men's Health to see articles that talk about exercises for premature ejaculation. Things like 5 exercises you can do to last longer in bed and build your stamina. Now, sometimes this is quite good content, but it tends to be a bit on the simplistic side. For example, I saw an article the other day that was advocating lots of big kettlebell swings to build on sexual movement and endurance. Now, but that movement is quite different to sexual movement, and I think your partner would probably agree. So let's start with general health. Can exercise and cardio and strength training actually help with premature ejaculation? There was a bit of research that came out of Turkey in 2018 where they took 2 groups of guys, not a huge sample, there was about 100 and 150 guys in each group. One group were regular exercises with good levels of fitness, and the other group led quite sedentary lifestyles. And they found that the prevalence of premature ejaculation was significantly lower in the active exercising group. And this makes sense really, because we know that exercise helps maintain our testosterone levels, it helps boost serotonin levels. We know that there's a strong link between serotonin and the ejaculation reflex. And also the mental health benefits of exercise. When we're feeling good and we feel like we look good, we're going to be more confident and we're going to feel more sexually active and capable as a consequence. Now, I know that there was a report in the media a couple of years ago that generated some pretty awesome headlines. It was based on some other research that suggested that heavier guys with bigger waistlines were able to last longer in bed. And it was suggested that this might be due to a hormonal balance associated with obesity. But the research wasn't that conclusive, and I think we can all agree that the benefits of health and good nutrition vastly outweigh any tenuous, obscure finding like that. Now, some articles talk about building lots of strength and conditioning in the musculature, especially around the pelvis and the lower body, that we can be strong and conditioned and power through the ejaculation reflex. One top tip, if you have an unwanted erection, especially like first thing in the morning, if you've got morning wood and all you want to do is pee, if you tense deliberately, clench one of your larger muscle groups like your quads or your glutes, it won't be very long before the blood flow goes down to those muscles and your erection subsides. But when it comes to sex, when we're getting closer and closer to orgasm, muscle tension actually has a negative effect and it will motor us to ejaculation much sooner. This is worth bearing in mind when we talk about kegels. Kegel exercises that contracting and releasing of the pelvic musculature is often recommended as conditioning to help with premature ejaculation. There is some truth in this. So by all means do your kegels because it can help in later life with bladder control and continence and things like that. But any good sex therapist that works with their clients doing kegels places more emphasis on having awareness of what our PC muscles feel like in a relaxed and contracted state, and relaxation is key. Holding on, clenching the PC muscle during sex is counterproductive. So if kegels aren't the exercise solution to premature ejaculation, what other exercises are there? Well, there's reducing muscle tension in general during sex. A lot of the guys thrust and get themselves into positions that recruit a lot of muscles and tension. So there are quite a lot of recommended exercises for rotating the hips in isolation without building up too much muscle tension through the body. For example, there's an exercise where you can get down on your hands and knees with a mirror and you can arch and lower your back, and you can get used to moving your hips in isolation. And there's ways of doing that in various different positions. I will link in the description to a blog post where I detail one of those exercises a bit more. I'm not going to get down on my hands and knees right now and show you my hip thrusting technique because you don't want to see that. Breath work, breathing slower, abdominal breathing with perhaps a longer out breath. This is shown to keep the parasympathetic nervous system engaged for longer, that rest and digest state where we can plateau and enjoy the sexual experience. Remember that during sex, as we get closer to orgasm and ejaculation, we don't have a brake pedal. We don't have a way of overriding the ejaculation reflex, which is a completely automatic and natural process. But when we recognize that we're getting there, things like breathing and physical relaxation help create a more relaxed atmosphere and environment in the body. So breath work and relaxed breathing is a really useful thing to work on for day-to-day stresses and sexual performance. Contrary to some of the information out there, less is often more when it comes to sex. So smaller movements, slower movements, more subtlety in speed and angle and position. And you can work on this when you're on your own with masturbation. If you're one of those guys that stands in front of the toilet with your phone in one hand, looking to crank one out as quickly as possible, there's an opportunity to change that routine and get more in touch with your body and slow things down. Also, when you're working with your partner, there are things like the acclimatization practice, which I'll also link to in the description, something you can do with your partner around slower penetration, slower movement that has a generally beneficial effect. So in conclusion, in bed, as is in life, good health and fitness is a foundation for more positive experiences. And ideally, this is a combination of general good health, especially if we're getting a little older, note to self, and if useful, if required, more sex-specific practices and exercises. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about premature ejaculation or sexual confidence in general, please feel free to get in touch, and my website is linked in the description below this video. Also remember that I am a therapist sharing my opinions and general advice, but this is no substitute for going to see your own GP or doctor. So if you have any concerns about health or your sexual health, you should go and get a medical checkup and take some advice. Thank you very much for watching.